Good afternoon, folks. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. We're here at the U.S. Embassy, and we're here to discuss U.S. Embassy services for American citizens during the time of COVID-19. So I'm Ildiko, the Public Diplomacy Officer here at the U.S. Embassy, and I'm joined by the Chief of American Citizen Services, Amelia Mathias.
Hi everybody, my name's Amelia, and over the past 2.5 years, I've gotten to meet a lot of you as you've renewed your passports, got notarial services done, and reported the births of your children. I'm still here, and we wanted to answer some of your questions and talk a little bit about what American Citizen Services look like during this kind of global COVID-19 pandemic. I do really quickly want to kind of give you the most important information up front, and that is, if you have not already, please go online and enroll with the U.S. Embassy in the program that we call the Smart Traveler Enrollment Program. This will make sure that you get any messages that we are pushing out to the U.S. citizen community from the embassy. You can do that online at step.state.gov, and we will make sure that that link is somewhere on Facebook where you can find it. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Amelia. I also wanted to remind everyone that we are live right now, but we'll also be posting this video to YouTube after the event, as well as to our social media pages in case you want to refer back to it later, or you want to share with your family and friends. So we've compiled some questions that we've received over the past couple of days, and we are also monitoring our Facebook Live page in case you want to send additional questions for us. All right, but let's get started, Amelia.
Sure.
So first question, is the embassy still open?
We are. We are still open, but we are taking into consideration, a lot of the regulations, restrictions, and advice, both from the government of Qatar here and also from the U.S. Center for Disease Control and Prevention in the United States. So what that means is we have a lot of our teams that are teleworking. It also means that we have canceled a lot of regular appointments, including all of our visa appointments. That said, if you are a U.S. citizen who needs an urgent service, whether it's an emergency passport or to report the birth of a new child, we're still here for you and we're still open. We have taken our appointment scheduling offline so that we can do it all through email, again, to encouraging maximum social distancing like Ildiko and I are doing here. So if you need that service, please send us an email at acsdoha@state.gov, and we'll make sure that email address is on Facebook as well, and somebody will respond to you to set up that appointment.
Okay, and we did receive a question from Zach on our Facebook page about what you just went over. The question was, will the embassy continue to provide passport and services? And if so, is the 2.5-week processing time for these services still the same?
That's a great question. Yes. We are monitoring, and Washington is monitoring everything with DHL very, very carefully. They are the service that gets our passports accurate to us, but yes, 2 weeks. 2 weeks is about how long it's taking for passports to return.
Okay, and Margaret, I saw your question too about reporting consular birth report abroad. I hope Amelia's question answered that as well, that yes, you still are able to get appointments for those services.
Absolutely, send us an email.
Okay. Do you have an estimated time frame, asks Miguel, for when visa services will return for students interested in studying in the United States for the fall semester?
We don't, I'm sorry, stay tuned.
Okay. So another question we received, we've heard about the State Department Global Level 4 Travel Advisory. Can you tell us what that means? Does that mean all American citizens should go home now?
This is a really good question, so let's take a second to kind of unpack it. On March 19th, the Department of State issued a Global Level 4 Health Advisory. And what this means is that we recommend that all U.S. citizens who are traveling abroad either be prepared to stay overseas for an indefinite period of time or head home, okay? Countries all over the world are canceling flights, implementing border closures and additional travel restrictions, and as well as quarantines. So it could get harder to return home.
Okay. Well, if people are interested in going back to the United States, what should they do?
So if you're ready to go back to the United States, you've made a really big decision for you and your family. Everybody's choice is going to be a little bit different, and it can be an agonizing decision to make during these difficult times. Our current guidance is that U.S. citizens can still depart Qatar with no problem via commercial aircraft. So we would encourage you to be patient and flexible, just because flights may change during these difficult times, but do what you need to do to book a ticket and go home.
Okay, so there's been a lot of talk about repatriation in the news.
Yeah.
Can you explain what that means and how that process works?
Yeah, that's a great question because I think a lot of us are watching a lot more news than we usually would right now. In some other countries around the world where commercial flight options may no longer be available, the Department of State is assisting U.S. citizens who may be stranded in those countries. In Qatar, we have a very, very, very different circumstance because commercial options are still available. You can still book a ticket to fly directly back to the United States if you wish. Again, we encourage you to take advantage of that if you're not prepared to stay overseas for an indefinite period. You should also always have a plan to depart from Qatar that does not rely on U.S. government assistance.
All right. And folks, just a reminder, please keep your questions coming. We're here to answer them for you. So another question we received was about transiting through the Qatar airport.
Yeah. So our current guidance is that U.S. citizens can continue to transit through Hamad International Airport on their way back to the United States. Even if you're just transiting, we would encourage you to enroll again in the Smart Traveler Enrollment Program and check out our COVID-19 website for updates.
Great. So we had another question from Lauren on our Facebook Live page. Do we know when people will be allowed to enter Qatar again?
We don't know. I would encourage you to follow local Qatari news sources, who I'm sure will update as soon as we know more.
Okay, so that brings up another question, Amelia. What sources should people be looking at for the most up-to-date and accurate information about Qatar?
And I'm going to sound like a broken record. I do apologize. But again, register with the Smart Traveler Enrollment Program. And we also have, in fact, every U.S. embassy throughout the entire world has right now a country-specific COVID-19 webpage on their website. So that's another great resource to check out if you are planning on transiting another country on your way back to the United States or want the latest updates from us in terms of what's going on with U.S. citizens here in Qatar.
Great. So if a U.S. citizen is put in quarantine or perhaps even is tested positive for COVID-19, at what point should they contact the U.S. Embassy?
So first off, if you are in quarantine and a U.S. citizen or you become ill with COVID-19, first off, we hope that your health recovers very, very quickly, and our thoughts are with you. You are welcome to call us or send us an email and let us know. We would be more than happy to stay in touch with you, either while you're in quarantine or while you're in the hospital. We don't provide medical services. I'm not a doctor, and we can get people out of quarantine, but we cannot get people out of quarantine. I want to make sure I say that clearly. But we are happy to keep in touch with you while you're going through that difficult period.
All right. So let's see. If you folks have any more questions, please go ahead and post them. We're standing by. All right. While we're waiting, Amelia, is there anything else you wanted to talk about?
Sure. One of the reasons I've been mentioning the Smart Traveler Enrollment Program so frequently is because we are probably going to be sending out much more frequent messages through that program. So if you are registered, be prepared to hear from us quite a bit over the next, while this situation is going on.
Okay. Last call for questions from you folks.
I do have one other number that I'd like to share with everybody. If you're watching this and you are not in Qatar, but maybe in a U.S. citizen in another country overseas, we have a call center back in the United States that is ready to take your phone calls 24/7. And if you're calling from overseas, that number is 1-202-501-4444. And we've got people who are ready to answer the phone, like I said, 24/7, and try to help you out.
As a reminder, we will be posting this video on YouTube, so you can refer back to that. We'll also include links to all the pages that Amelia mentioned, as well as the phone numbers that she's mentioning now. So if you didn't catch it, we'll post it again.
I think we have a question.
All right. Thank you. Okay. So you've got lots of questions, folks. All right, so another question about when non-Qataris will be able to enter Qatar again. The date that the government of Qatar put out was, I believe, March 31. Do we know if that's still standing, or do we have any updates?
We don't. Our understanding is that it could be extended, but I would refer you to the Qatari government. They're going to be the best source to answer questions about their regulations.
All right, and we have some other personal situation questions here. If someone has a personal situation or maybe something they don't want to share on the Facebook live chat, how can they get in contact with you?
Yeah, so we take your privacy really, really seriously, and so we're never going to answer personal questions that could kind of raise whatever your situation is here on Facebook. If you do have individual circumstances that are going on, please send us an email, again, to acsdoha@state.gov, and we will do our best to address whatever your issue or concern is.
Great. We have another question from Lori regarding residence permits for Qatar. So who would be the best resource, or where can they find more information out about that?
I would talk to your sponsor or their human resources. With everything going on, some ministry offices are teleworking or suspending services for a bit. So your sponsor is, as usual in Qatar, going to be a good resource to help you out with that.
All right.
Okay.
Last call for questions.
Thank you so much, everybody. Stay safe, stay healthy, wash your hands.
Yes, and thank you so much for joining us. Keep an eye out for the link to this video on our website as well as our social media accounts. So, thank you. Take care.